The most powerful weapon in the Federation might not be the Defiant, but it's certainly on the Defiant here on Feature Please. A vile visit to Bajor. My name is Joseph.
New ship, who dis? My co-host, Peter.
So we will get right to it, because we divided up our conversation as relates to this episode that we are discussing. Let's remind everybody, what are we talking about?
What are we thinking about? I'm thinking about Garrett Goes to Hell, man. I am jazzed for this. To watch Hellraiser and talk about Star Trek in the background. We're going back to Season 3, Episode 1, The Search. Part 2 of The Search, Part 1 for us.
We do pick the most awkward times to divide this up, like two-parters that we do two-parters of each part for. But yes, this is our second half of our discussion. We decided there was just so much content that we didn't want to rush through it. So,
and why? Because you got teleplay by Ronald D. Moore, you got story by Ira Stephen Bear and Robert Hewitt Wolf. You got the big names at the table in charge now, right? Who'd they drop? Was it Pillar?
Pillar and Jerry Taylor went to go make Voyager.
And we know how that story goes, for better and for worse.
Yeah, and Rick Berman's kind of eye is on that, because that's the big network show.
So now you got the big kids at the table without any dummy adult supervision. And they're ready to put the foot on the gas and take Star Trek into a place that I don't think it's ever been before.
Yeah, this is the next generation club too. Like, and when I say that, I mean not the people who worked on TNG, although, you know, to greater or lesser degree, everyone touched it. But this is not the people who started making that show, right? We are now 8-9 years into the Make Star Trek Again experience, right? So now we've got people like Ron Moore who weren't there at the beginning and have come into it, and were part of the reason it got great.
Did Moore work with Roddenberry?
No, he was there after.
I want to jump back to our Star Trek Undiscovered conversation and Roddenberry having a heart attack because of that movie, which was fucking awesome. And the whole conversation we had there of, was Roddenberry wrong? You had Roddenberry, who made Star Trek and had a vision for Star Trek. Mm-hmm. And he got to be able to start making season 1 of Next Generation, which is completely different on all levels than everything that we have seen in Deep Space Nine, right? But you also had Rick Berman working directly with Roddenberry. And Berman, for whatever else you want to say about him, is a disciple who was loyal to the vision that Roddenberry had on many things. Even if he deviated from it, there was a loyalty to that. And they would joke that some decisions when they'd go to make, he'd turn the bust of Gene Roddenberry so it didn't see the things he was doing. Ron Moore doesn't have that loyalty to the vision. And I don't think Ira Stephen Bear or Robert Hewitt Wolf does. So we had the whole conversation about properties needing to evolve in the right way for it to happen, which is here.
Right.
The wrong way for it to happen, which is Disney and Star Wars. And this is what that process happening the right way looks like, where there's people who have grown up, who understand this material as presented on a screen at a level that you as the creator do not. They don't have your governing factors. They don't have this adherence to a vision that might be defunct at this point. And you have exactly what you're saying, the next generation, not the TV show. You have the next generation of Star Trek producers who are also, I think, fans. Yes. And are ready to tell some amazing in-universe stories. And the last parent in the room, which is Rick Berman, who would be the person to say, that's not Roddenberry. We're not doing that. We're not doing a warship. We're not. And I'm sure he, at some degree, I mean, he has to greenlight sets and other stuff, but he's not fully invested to the point where he can really nitpick and show stop on you. And also, you're putting out gas. Like, okay, Berman sees you guys are fucking playing with fire over here and killing it. Go ahead. You guys now have the keys to the castle. Tell the stories that you, and I think clearly fans have been waiting to see. Tell that big sweeping story where you need to see what happened not only last episode, but 6, 10, 15 episodes ago. Tell the dark stories. Bring in the huge expanded cast and give the people what they want. I'm going to be over here on Voyager giving people exactly what they don't want.
If Rick Berman made the Star Trek that Gene Roddenberry wasn't capable of, then Ron Moore and Ira Steven Behr are making the Star Trek that Rick Berman isn't capable of.
Love it.
And, it's the cautionary tale might be Disney Star Wars in many ways, but the cautionary tale is also Star Trek itself, because what happened to Star Trek? It landed into Enterprise and it died because the Next Generation didn't take it over, right? Like, what did we talk about? That show felt tired and old and was made by people with no fucking ideas until it wasn't, and it was too late.
Go back. Season 1, Season 2, they were trying to tell TOS. That's an interesting viewpoint, too. What happens when the disciple of the creator tries to recreate the creator's works? It doesn't work.
No.
The trip Tucker to Paul, Kirk, Spock,
the trip Archer to Paul. You should trip Tucker, which is
the trip Archer to Paul, Triumphant was trying to be McCoy, Spock, and Kirk, and it just did not work. You can't tell the wagon whatever in space, find the bad guy, fist fight him. Like, that ship sailed. You fucking nailed it. You wrote the book on it. We should not have gone back to it. And this is what we should be doing.
Yeah. And when they figured that out on Enterprise, it got better too, right? When we let's use this premise for what it's worth. And then suddenly the show felt like it had an identity. It didn't have that identity until those people were out of the picture. So all interesting. And now we're finally actually on the Defiant itself. Interestingly, the Defiant was named by Ron Moore. He basically got the decision on what the title of the ship was going to be there forever. And he wanted it to be the Valiant. And instead it is the Defiant.
Who wanted Valiant?
Ron Moore.
Why'd it end up on Defiant then?
I think because Voyager also started with a V, and they didn't want both ships to have V names. I think it's literally the reasoning they gave.
Defiant is an interesting pick because, again, jumping back to my ignorant youth, being turned away from it, I could respect the fact the ship looked cool and it was too badass, right? Like, it felt like they were trying. And naming it Defiant really felt, again, like it's thumbing the nose at Roddenberry Star Trek. Like, I remember that really not sitting well with me. And I would also say, if I was the Romulans or the other people that are like binding the Federation and don't want the Federation to have fucking warships and be able to like kick our ass for real, I would be real side-eye like, wait, so you want me to put this super dangerous cloak on a ship called the Defiant? Why not just name the ship the USS Fuck Romulus?
It's also part of the reason probably wanted on it. Like, let's take a look what's going on here. I want on your experimental.
I'm sorry.
I want to interface my technology with your technology. Yes,
this
please.
Is the USS Greenblood Spiller?
Yeah.
Walk me through that one, please.
USS Neutral Zone Violator, you say. That's very interesting.
Why does... On the front, is that the part that looks like a dustbuster on the front of the Defiant? Is that the bridge? Is that the command module?
I used to know this. God damn
Shame on you for not. Big nerd credit off on you, Joe.
Yes, I don't think it is. I think that the bridge is actually internal. You know what? It's going to be. I'm going to have to actually look at the text. I used to know the tech specs on this.
I'm excited to watch. What's the 3D cutaway one that we really like? I just. Whatever. I'm going to watch a lot of YouTube videos on what the anatomy of these starships are. I know that front module is able to separate.
Yes.
Anyways, the joke I'm going to make there is, please explain to me why around this thing you appear to have a necklace made out of pointed ears.
Oh, if only you knew what would happen in the future as it relates to necklaces made of ears. So the ship finally launches. As we have noted, the ship is not in great shape. O'Brien is, apparently it's a work in progress to make it work the way it should, but is sufficient for the purpose of taking it on this mission.
What a perfect ship to put Miles O'Brien on.
Yeah.
Let me get this thing straight. It is a murderer and the toilets are frequently broken. Well, let me show you my resume.
So you need me to be able to fix guns and toilets? My favorite things?
You need me to be able to fix the guns so they can kill. That is, yeah. Before they are able to head out, though, they've got not Mary Kay. What is it? The door-to-door makeup salesman.
No, that's Mary Kay.
Something calling. Is it Mary Kay
Oh,
calling?
Avon. Avon is
Avon calling. Odo
yeah,
calling. Odo, what's up? I thought you quit. Well, I have a lovely selection of mascara and other transformative makeup products I'd like to show you. There was a skin we skipped over, which was Kira's a friend. Also, how do they fit so much content into one episode? Like, again, great writing.
Because there ain't a fucking scene wasted.
Odo is butthurt. Odo is quitting. Odo's listless and without purpose. Odo needs a come to Jesus moment, and to help him get there is Kieran Reese. Hey, we want you to come along on this. I'm going to up jump you in the Bajoran government structure, and I want you as a consultant. And him basically like, he's such a salty emo bitch.
He is.
He is such a high maintenance bitch. Like,
yes.
Archer really has nothing on this guy.
He, Odo is a child. Ultimately,
yes,
we've established this.
Yes,
he is not a child in that he acts in a fashion that lacks personal maturity.
You sure?
But he is a child in that he doesn't have very well developed emotional skills. He's good at his job. He's able to exert authority in a way like you wouldn't necessarily call childish, but where it really demonstrates it is in moments like these where he's just not used to what's happening to him. And he's acting in a fashion that's very standoffish and confrontational because it's all he knows.
He is brittle and he is selfish.
Brittle, yeah.
And he's selfish too. I mean, shit with his dad, it's always about him, what he thinks is best, how things interact with him and the world rotating around him. And I can already see what's going to happen because he and Sisko on many levels are on the same character journey, which is I need a higher purpose and I need something to really rally around because we've both been floating untethered. Sisko, it's the realization that he needs to be there not only for the good of the Federation, but for Bajor, which is, this thing, he is a religious leader, like it or not. And Odo can't just be this abstract, I want to bust the bad guy and look cool doing it and be a moody bitch and wonder about where my parents are. Like, I need to really have something to rail against. And obviously it's going to be that the fucking changelings are monsters and terrible. And he's one of the few people that can really combat what's going on here, but he's not there yet. So he is very butthurt and salty that his job wasn't taken away from him. It was just changed a little bit. And to accept that change would be to accept the fact that he has really fucked some shit up without, passing the buck and playing the blame game. These problems would have never let me happen if you would have let me run this place like Auschwitz like I wanted. No.
That's not the objection. The objection is that you're in this position because there's a lot of shit that could have gone differently if you had played like a team player and you didn't. And I appreciate that ultimately Kira's not seeing those flaws in him, but Sisko does.
Yeah.
So and Kira wouldn't, because Kira is like him. Kira's like, I'm the guy. You got a problem, you go kill him, right? Like, I'm the person who went and planted bombs and trucks and shit. Like, I don't care about chain of command. We know that. She's like, much of the first 2 seasons was about her not giving a fuck about that. Her key conflicts with Sisko, particularly in season 1, was about her not giving a fuck about that. So of course she's much like Odo in that regard, and it's part of the reason they're friends. So
also in that regard, they both work for the provisional government, and that is not leadership you can believe in. I don't blame Kira or Odo for kind of scoffing at authority, because the real authority that they have seen so far has been terrible ass Cardassian occupants, these ass clown provisional government guys, and then
best of which was Space Nixon, who tried a coup.
Which, while we're talking about Hellraiser and Garrick, the fact that it didn't dawn on me that we should have been calling Space Nixon fucking Skeletor.
Yes, and as was noted in the Discord, we began and ended season 2 with Skeletor, because Frank Langella played Skeletor in live action, and then Captain Coag would play Skeletor in animation. So
Frank
yes.
Langella took Skeletor too. What a fucking great guy. He-Man, Masters of the Universe, which maybe that'll be some fucking Patreon content at some point.
Right.
Anything to keep us away from Kindred of the Embraced. And Star Trek both happened because his kids were into it and wanted to see him play. And for you to be like, big shot Frank Langella, I'll be like, yeah, man, I'll be a fucking skeleton mage acting with Dolph Lundgren in a fucking loincloth.
I will elevate this material with my
Listen, if I was willing to do that and have a good time in that trash heap of a movie, I will absolutely be a dirty politician dry humping on grandma over here.
So the Defiant enters the Gamma Quadrant, and we have its first contact with. Oh, we do have a weird moment where Odo goes into the bucket with Quark. And I guess it's just, I don't know. They wanted to show Odo was in a bad mood.
Well, I like how fucking Sisko kind of jerks me. It's like, can I help you, Odo? Like, what are you doing at the door? I want to come along after. Okay, good. Come on, buddy. Get in here. We'll find. Normally, onboarding people wouldn't be a big deal, but literally, this is such a Spartan craft, and I'm to understand a lot of the crew quarters don't even have fucking environmental systems yet. You're gonna have to fucking room up with your old pal Quark.
He's got his bucket in his hands. It's like, I just need a place to be in my bucket.
I love the scene with Quark and Odo. Odo's in a different place than we have ever seen Odo before.
He's pissed off, yeah.
He is without a purpose and effectively without a job. And B, he's ready to go goo. Like he's in the pain spot. We've seen him there already with the elevator scene with Lwaxana Troi. So he is not... he does not have time for the bullshit. Quark is in a place we've never seen. Quark is scared. Quark is not playing games right now. It is their friendly tit for tat is not in effect, and he is talking to Odo, I think, as one of his few friends at this point.
Yeah,
and I think when he says, "I am genuinely happy to see you here," like that is heartfelt and real, because that's Quark's scared. Quark almost died. Quark was the bad guy, was lobbying to leave his ass behind, right?
That's correct.
And I think, to the delight of the viewer, Odo's not ready to reciprocate or foster that friendship request at any level right now. And like, it's the most emotional I think we've ever seen, and most hostile we've seen Odo get, short of becoming a rampaging goo rock monster and tearing the station apart.
He's like, straight up, like, if you don't leave me alone, you're going to regret having ever met me. Like, he's very explicit.
Mm-hmm.
So we eventually have their first encounter with the Jem'Hadar with the cloak on. And that's when we actually do get some tea dropped about the weakness of Romulan cloaks, which is to say, apparently when they're traveling at warp, there is some sort of subspace variance that is detectable. And O'Brien's like, we didn't know that. And with the way like Reska puts it, is like, well, we weren't eager to fucking tell you. Like, but I'd rather not die. So yeah, that's what they just picked up.
What, again, I mean, Rule could have had some real meat on the bone as far as like the high treason she just committed here, to evaluate a situation and say, we are going to die if I don't fucking tell these guys. I know I'm a cloaking field specialist. The first rule they teach us is do not tell people about the radiation variance. And my life is more important than Senate secrets. So here's the hot tea. And everybody's like, cool, making a note of that.
Yeah,
everybody real quick.
Sweet.
Everybody cap their captain's log, science officer's log, like 12 new log entries.
Believe what this fucking Romulan just told us about this cloaking device. Which, considering that cloaking device is presently plugged into all of their fucking UBS ports, like USB ports, like,
let me correct you on some proper terminology.
All right? So like it's not like she isn't getting everything she wants right now too. It's like, oh, what a cool piece of experimental fucking technology I get to be integrating my technology into.
Aha, foolish Federation pigs. I'm stealing your replicator designs right now. Little do I know.
it's like our state of the art best killing people naval ship has like a Chinese person on it. Like, hey, use my radar. Okay, like I guess we get to use your radar and you get it to see how all this works. I
I said I wasn't here to be friends, and I feel bad about saying I didn't want to be friends. Please enjoy these free jump drives I found in the parking lot. Plug this into all your work computers.
So, and then they determined that actually it's not just that they're traveling at warp, but that the Defiant gives off so much fucking power they have to shut down main power, otherwise they will be detected.
Yes, this warp core runs on dilithium and also Viagra.
His ship is built to fuck, literally. Unfortunately, we got to shut it down.
Yeah, blue crystals and blue pills feed it directly into the core. I want to ask you a question about Defiant, and this is not a joke, even though it is kind of a joke.
Okay.
Given that the Defiant doesn't have holodecks or even science bays, and this is a warship, does the Defiant have CCTV?
I don't think so.
I'm willing to accept that, because if it's that Spartan on everything else,
it doesn't. Finally, not having cameras makes sense. Yeah,
absolutely.
Experimental, yeah.
It's not designed for like top secret talks or like hushed whispers with the enemy where you might be able to record things like this. So when nonsense happens, I will fully accept the fact they cannot go back to the tape.
So they are successful in evading the attention of Jem'Hadar and make their way to the Karema homeworld, where Quark begins his negotiations with a guy named Ornithar. This is our second familiar face. I'm sure he's at least sounded familiar to you, right, Peter?
He was sassy. Who is it?
That is John Fleck, who is much better known than being Zillick. Yes. Do you hear it now? Do you hear it in his voice?
I see. Do you hear
John? Hello, John.
Ben.
Quark.
Give me more of this guy then, man. I'm down for John Fleck.
Unfortunately, you will not get more of John Fleck in this role. Not to say you will not see him again, but he it feels like him. It feels like him. As soon as I heard his voice, I was like, yes, I remember. And these are the people who are dealing in the Tullaberry wine that we heard so much about back in Rules of Acquisition.
Ridiculous. I love it. When I was little, I wanted to be on Star Trek. I want to be a Starfleet guy. And, that was kind of like, man, I'd love to act on the show and be like one of the big guys. And Deep Space Nine has really shown like there's so many good roles that could have just been all over the franchise for recurring characters, even just like 1-bit throwaway characters. Like,
yeah.
To be an actor in Hollywood in the fucking early 90s and the late 80s and get your foot in the door with Star Trek, like, I mean, if it's even bringing Franklin Gala in, what a juggernaut. What a juggernaut property to work with.
Yeah, it was something that real people did. Not necessarily all the time, but it had a pedigree that you didn't ignore it,
It wasn't anathema. You didn't have and I don't know if it existed for TOS, but like, and you're not putting people in garbage bag with paper mache and that's the monster they're working against. Like, there's a credibility, I think, that Berman era had in the Hollywood circle that you could do Star Trek and it wasn't going to be a black mark on your record.
So this guy is very like, flitting about and talking about buying Kira's earring and violating everyone's personal space while Quark conducts his negotiation. And eventually, actually threats work in that, like, okay, either give up where it is we can communicate with the Vorta and therefore the rest of the Dominion, or we're going to stop doing business with you. And that ends up actually being how it works. And they get what they need, which is the location of a relay station where the orders go in and out to the Karema. And I like the characterization of the Dominion from their perspective, right? Which is, listen, we get told what to do, and then we do it. And when he's asked, why do you operate like that? He flatly says, because if you don't, the Jem'Hadar show up, and then you die. It's just flat like that. And then you die. And it's like, that's what we know about them, right? Like, that's what we saw. That matches with the attitude we've seen expressed so far. The Jem'Hadar show up, and then you die. This is something apparently everyone in the Dominion knows. So if you're behaved, you get to work, you're fine. If you don't, you're just dead.
A phantom leadership style, unlike anything else that we have seen in Star Trek. Federation super involved. Romulan super involved. Klingon super involved. The Borg, everybody is on the same page. Everybody has full buy-in because they're all space zombies hooked into the same fucking metaverse or whatever.
Right.
The Hirogen seemed pretty hands-on. And again, I really like the Hirogen as like this fallen empire that's just turned into recreation.
Right.
Who else is big out there that we have in Star Trek to really kind of look at?
I think they've really named the major Cardassians, obviously, but yeah, this is the first example of a multiracial empire where the leadership structure is explicitly separated from its governance, and it is just a straight rule by fear. It is a straight, you are a planet, you are organizing yourself, you have rules you have to follow as a member of the Dominion, and you either follow them or you die. Those are your options.
The closest thing I can relate it to in sci-fi, I think, is the Combine out of Half-Life 2. And even the Combine had a consistent system. No, I guess not, because everything on Earth was under Breen. Breen was beholden to the benefactor slugs or whatever. But it was So you don't have a face of the Dominion telling you what to do. Your leadership has been subjugated. They've been told, you are going to lick our boot. We are not going to give you really any benefits to being a part of us other than continued survival. And if you deviate from whatever we're outlining up front, we're going to send thugs in. So there is the initial invasion. There is, here's your rule book. Like it's fucking Beetlejuice. Like, here's your rule book to being dead. And if you can't follow those rules, then you're not worth our time. And we will eradicate you with our only visible feature, which is stormtroopers that can actually hit stuff. And that, I think, continues to relay not only a rule by fear, but a leadership cast that is afraid, that is hiding.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a phantom government that you don't know what the real rules are. You don't see hard borders. I mean, Federation's been flying in and out of there, and this is, the first time they've been encountered by the Dominion. The Dominion's been studying them. The Dominion's been learning, but the Dominion has never made a contact of like, hey, you don't belong here. Get the fuck out. We're going to announce ourselves. We're going to wait until we have
no
enough
attempt for any kind of good faith negotiation. They didn't even care. They didn't even try.
It was just violence. It was just add violence to the situation and expect compliance. So very fascinating look, to the point of we are beholden to a government we know nothing about. We report to an answering machine.
Yeah.
There's an answering machine over here. It's what we talk. And then that's what the secretary bitches told us. And if we can't make that work, then jackbooted thugs show up and kill everybody. So go ahead. Go have fun. Thanks for threatening me. Maybe we will file a report and alert them that you're coming. Also, this guy over here staring wistfully at the screen. Let me give you a nebula name on that real quick, and then I'll be off.
So Odo is quite clearly transfixed by something on the screen for reasons that will become evident shortly. And this is where Quark exits too. Because apparently the deal was like, I'm off the suicide train once I've done my bid to help you connect dots, and I have found you a connection to follow. I'm going to book passage on literally anything else other than this fucking ship doomed for destruction. But at the same time, he is very like, good luck. He's not, he's not being like performative about it. He's just, I'm out. Deal's done. I got you what you wanted. And he exits stage right.
I was surprised to see Sisko let him go, because I did not expect this episode to end with the Defiant getting its ass kicked and everybody arrested. So very obviously a plot moment for Quark to separate so he can probably save the day later on. I look forward to seeing that happen.
So they roll out to this planet where this relay station is, and they're like, okay, it's not manned, doesn't appear to have any defenses. It's just a voicemail box. We could probably beam down and get all the information off it and then figure out where to go next. Everyone's like looking at each other like this looks a little too easy, but what other option do we have? They take a maximum, degree of precaution. Like we'll decloak for 6 seconds, beam O'Brien and Dax down, let them do the thing, beam their asses back up, and then we are out of here. However, unfortunately for them, as you noted, this appears to have been a big old stinky trap. And is it because they got reported? Is it because they are actually detected in their cloak earlier? Not yet having been clearly stated on screen, but they beam down, they fuck with the thing, and that is when red alert klaxons start going off, shields go up, a hand suddenly it reaches out and clasps onto I forget if it was O'Brien or Dax's shoulder. Don't see them again, and there are a bunch of Jem'Hadar fighters about to show up and fuck shit up.
That hand, I believe, is actually a hair and makeup crew member there to fix Jadzia, hopefully.
Yeah, like, say, that hair you got right now, we are getting rid of that.
Yeah.
Great conversation of do we leave them behind, where Sisko is like spitting truth. Like, yeah, we're fucking leaving them behind. They're expendable. If we try to get them, we'll die. Because at the moment, they're trying to evade detection. They think that if they cut main power and stay cloaked, they'll evade the Jem'Hadar. But
they also already info dumped, right? So they've got what they came for.
Correct. Hypothetically.
The math for Sisko now is I have a mission that is so important that I have taken the suicide crew out. We got what we wanted, and if we stay here, we're going to lose. And we already know these guys can kick our ass in a fight. I was still shocked to see him leave O'Brien and Jadzia behind, especially with the heartfelt message that, and again, I mean, I know all these people fucking survive, right? Like,
right, of course.
It's not, none of this is like, oh, gee, is Tasha Yar going to die here? You know, what zany death are they going to pull out of their ass? Like, I know what's going to happen. The fun is like, what are the fallout? What's the fallout going to be from these decisions that are made, especially stuff like sacrificing people for what should be an absolute death. I was shocked to see Tarul's advice go over. You got Kira there kind of putting a little bit of pushback in. It's Bashir that's really the like, you can't be serious. And he's like, chill the fuck out. Sit down.
So there's a one last sort of like personal beat between Kira and Odo before we launch into the action, and that is Kira going to visit Odo after he refuses to help Sisko with security measures, and Kira having a real heart-to-heart with him about like what's going on with him. So, this is a relationship that they kind of teased last season a little bit as it relates to Odo's feelings, and Kira's always been close to Odo, from the start of the show, really. They've always gotten along. He's obviously, kind of looked after her in a way.
They're the only visible members of the Bajoran
government, and they were there for the occupation. They have shared life experiences in that regard. And, Kira cares about Odo a lot. And even remarks to him as she goes down to essentially emotionally intervene with him, be like, you've always helped me. So yeah, I'm helping you because I'm your friend. Do you realize, like, do you understand that I'm your friend? Like, do you get that? Is kind of the vibe. Like, Are you understanding, like, I am here because I care about you? Do you understand what it has to have people care about you?
This is Odo who needs these things explained. When Quark was trying to get his Cardassian girlfriend off the station instead of, dragged back to Cardassia to be executed, he attacks Odo and says, you don't understand love, you don't understand friendship, you don't understand these personal connections. And Quark is using it as a weapon in the moment to condemn him, and Odo's like, I don't understand these things. Keep going. Tell me. Like, this guy genuinely does not understand this stuff. And aside from Kira, the only other time he's gotten close to something like this is Luxana Troy.
Right. Who has the cheat codes, who's an empath or telepath.
So it's hard to see Odo this dumb because they are absolutely in the belly of the beast right now. And for him to be this distracted, what they're doing is they're telegraphing that there's a instinctual DNA level spell. There's an entrancement on this guy because he's normally all business. And for his head to be this far out of the game where he's telling Sisko, fuck you, I'm not helping, I'm too busy looking at a monitor right now. Like, all the red flags are there that this is not the normal Odo and that this guy is being manipulated by some outside force, even if that outside force is embedded in him.
Which, again, Odo does not know what he is. He does not he has no personal concept of his origin or his species. So to suddenly have this instinctual need that you cannot define or explain has got to be both A, difficult to deal with as a consequence of the fact it's hard-coded, and B, holy shit, this has to be about my origins, right? Yeah. This thing I am desperate to know about and why I've gone on Gamma Quadrant missions to begin with. And, you know, go ahead.
I also really loved the Kieran Reese, Ben Sisko conversation about Odo, which we've basically touched on all the points, but Sisko saying all the quiet parts out loud. I like Odo, but Odo is a problem. These are justified things that have put him in this position, that I do value him and I want to keep him around. He's being a moody bitch, and you know, we're gonna have to navigate this together. Like, he feels a lot like teenage Groot, right? And yeah, I think that's all good. But yeah, like, I'm scared by what's happening to me. I'm compelled by what's happening to me. And at a certain very real level, I want what's happening to me because there might actually be some fucking answers here. And despite all of this overwhelming motivation he has and pressure to completely zone out and zombie, Kira is able to prime away from the monitor and get real mileage out of the conversation and get him to open up and disclose what's going on here and snap him out of the trance long enough to start giving her some information.
So the shuttle. So you mentioned the shuttle pod that they end up getting into, or so he's asking, like, I want to take a shuttle. I want to take a shuttle. And it indicates that Defiant actually does have some kind of docking bay and or shuttle situation going.
Real shuttle pod 1 vibes on that thing, by the way. That has to be attached to the hull, walking through the roof, or maybe the nose, or perhaps the tail. We know that there's many ways into a shuttle pod from Enterprise.
Yeah, so it's called a Type 10 shuttlecraft. It has only got room for 4 people. It is warp capable. You know, it is a fully capable shuttlecraft design, but it is specifically designed to be used on a Defiant because it otherwise wouldn't have enough space for normal sized shuttles. So I don't know how often this thing shows up really, but it is a part of the design of the Defiant to have like this little like bay below that opens, and like they like it is like the shuttle pods on the Enterprise is like they're lowered down, or they're able to exit through that.
Is that Chaffee type shuttle pod?
Correct. Type 10 shuttlecraft.
Chafe. I bet you that this thing becomes shuttle pod 1.
It does seem like the idea for it is right there, isn't it?
I bet you the physical prop, like the external, I bet you they turn that in. Well, whatever.
So the Jem'Hadar attack, they have been able to penetrate the cloak, and the Defiant is at a severe disadvantage because it had dropped its main power to try and avoid being detected. So it's now under assault, and it had gotten its shit fucked up before it could get its shields up. So we have lots of shaky cam. We have lots of explodium going off. IEDs. We're on a Federation vessel now, so guess what? IEDs are back on the menu. Okay, they're in every panel.
The mirror universe engineer installed ones, as well as legitimate. There's too much power going. You've got intentional bombs and unintentional bombs. Very dangerous.
It's been a while since we've had IEDs built into.
I think this is the first Starfleet death that we have seen on screen. That is a DS9
on screen. We had that poor guy who got melted by in the Name of the Prophets. The guy who had the tool that the Bajoran lady stole or whatever.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
And
but he wasn't on
obviously
screen. Yeah.
Odyssey went down, but that's not DS9 posting. So this is the second.
First body that has on screen of like this guy died and we just saw it
First
happen.
real red shirt.
Yeah. First real red shirt moment as the Explodium goes off and Bashir takes the helm. The Defiant is able to fight back pretty effectively. It does blow up one of the Jem'Hadar fighters, which is not something we had seen them capable of doing before.
Not even the Galaxy class.
And it does use its forward phaser cannons, which are going to be a staple of the Defiant fucking shit up for the next 6 years or whatever. And unfortunately, though, it is going to get overwhelmed. There's like 6 of them, and they got caught with their pants down. And, you know, they may have thought that boarding the Defiant to capture the crew was going to be the easy part. But it turns out they're going to get hit with more casualties trying to put irons on Benjamin Sisko than they did when they were literally battling him in space.
Yeah, you should have checked that limit break meter, because where's your security klaxon
He
at?
took all those hits, and so it was at max right when you showed up.
Sisko's already charged up, right? Despite all the other nonsense, besides being enslaved and held and jerked around, I really think the emotional trauma of leaving his best friend and his best janitor behind, I think what really charged his limit break was knowing that he was going to have to go home to Kiko
again
and be like,
here's the thing, Killer Keiko. We got so yeah, he's had a bad day. Things are not going right. And when you had a bad day, you have to vent your frustration. Unfortunately for him, the Dominion has sent their best super soldiers for him to immediately start one-shotting over and over and over again. Not with a phaser. No. Tarul busts out her gat and actually blasts one.
Oh yeah, quick draw.
Yeah. And to her credit, she gets like fucking her face slammed into the fucking like bulkhead. Like she doesn't go down easy either. She tries and fights. Bashir, same. He double axe handles. He takes a couple guys out. He makes magic happen. But
I have a note in my book right out of the gate, because I stopped after our last episode and I opened up my file. I already filed this as a great episode.
Sure, yeah.
This is a fucking great episode. This is also clearly, I think, a week of shit pick for season 3. The audacity to take Kira Nerys and put her toe-to-toe with Jem'Hadar and actually hold her own after a space hooker whooped her ass? Space Williams be damned.
And Space Hooker was operating at a different level, as we are aware.
Bullshit. This is a bullshit episode.
But
everybody's got a gun
matter. Too. Even she goes down, okay? Only Benjamin Sisko requires 2 separate waves of Jem'Hadar super soldiers, and even that's not enough. The third wave has to show up to finally get his ass. Like, the first wave shows up, he's like, fuck guns. Guns are and just wham, slam your head into the bulkhead. Got you, punch you, double axe handle you. Next. Just.
It's not even that. He is moving like Batman in the Arkham games. That is the only thing I can realistically compare this guy to. We didn't talk about it. Pretty much off the rip, as soon as the Defiant shows up and there's kind of like a mission on the table, all of the main cast is armed in pretty much every scene. While on Deep Space Nine, while on the Defiant, everybody has a tricorder and everybody's carrying a pistol or a phaser.
Right.
Which is funny because when, the bad guys beam in, they all have guns. Starfleet all has guns. Everybody wants to get in a fist fight except for Tarul, who's like, what is going on here? What is this Bushido? I do not subscribe to this. Zap, 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 zap. And everybody else is, it's just in this fist fight, which the Jem'Hadar are frankly not ready for. The hell? I thought it was impressive watching him beat a Klingon's ass. I feel bad about none of the Death Row Sisko Ops or Raids jokes we've made before.
None.
This makes it full canon. Are you sure that it's actually Bashir that's the augment? Because I have not seen and I'm air quoting here, a human, whip the shit out of aliens before. until Enterprise, when that augment kicks the Klingon clear down the hallway like a soccer ball. Ridiculous. And I love it.
Batman in the Arkham games is the right call. It's like brutal, and like and the way that he acts when he's in these fight scenes, like Avery
Barbarian.
Brooks, yeah, he's like his Conan claiming skulls, like "Rah!" Like he's just very over exaggerated with everything, and it's great because it just adds the idea. It's like this man is an unhinged psychopath who is so powerful that these designed murder hobos are still struggling to deal with him. Like these are the Dominion's best soldiers, and he is still too much for them to handle until they bring in reinforcements.
This is a guy who has used anger to get himself out of sticky situations before. Ops of Rage.
I just imagine that each and every one of you is Jean-Luc Picard, and I'm doing to you what I want to do to him.
Well, I mean, that again, there's a rage to this guy that is unhinged. And now he has been potentially radicalized. I mean, he's given a purpose. What's the good way of saying radicalized? He's been
focus. He has commitment, conviction.
He is beholden to a higher purpose, and that is the salvation of the Alpha Quadrant from. And man, let's talk more. I mean, this guy's life fucking sucks. Why? Because an invasive force came through and took away from him personally his wife and his child's mother. It was the Borg, right? And this guy's being, again, these are people being officers during the worst time ever for Starfleet. All that shit we talked about, Mariner.
Yeah.
Ben Sisko's right in there with him too, okay?
The 2370s were rough, yeah.
He is being forced now to witness the second major invasive force and maybe a more day. Who knows? The Borg are happening all over again. And this time he is in a position to have real agency over what that story looks like. He knows what personal loss feels like, and he is going to be the one to make sure that nobody else loses a wife or a child's mother or their ship or anything else. So like this dude's locked in now. He's pissed off and he's got a higher purpose, and it's a bad time to be a stormtrooper around this guy because he does everything to these motherfuckers short of grabbing someone, gorilla pressing them, and then give them a backbreaker. Like
it's like he's like Denzel, just like, have you seen the Denzel Washington version of Macbeth?
No. But I do know that it's very rare for the lead black guy in a movie to lose a fight, and he is well willing to take advantage of this fucking thing.
He's in that Macbeth is portrayed by him as someone so utterly confident because of the witch's proclamations that when he gets into fights, he is ridiculously cinematic with it because he knows he can't lose. Right? He's been told he can't be killed by a man from a woman born. So
plot armor. Yeah.
He has plot armor and he knows it. And in the same, it's like that, right? Like there's something about this where he's just, I'm going to act like he literally can't kill me. There's like unlock something in him.
I like it too. I mean, we've seen a lot of every captain hero is their own thing. The scientist, the shipbuilder. You've been calling him the shipbuilder, but like he's the fucking ass kicker. And you can say what you want about Kirk, but like any of the jokes about Kirk being the fist fighter, like Sisko is the real embodiment of that. And I'm here for it. I like it. It works. It feels good. I love it. I was not expecting the Defiant to get beat to the degree it is. Certainly didn't expect him to get captured. Things do not go well for Kira Nerys, who is in Odo's quarters when they get boarded.
Right.
The big disappointment, part of the weakest shit combo here is the belief that she's going to get any mileage against these guys after her pathetic handling. I'm going to headcanon that after she got her ass whooped by that space hooker, she started putting real time in at the gym.
That space hooker was played by the bustling Klingon. Listen, come on. That's not fair.
She got her ass beat. It was a bad look. She knew it was a bad look. She has been training. Yes. I will believe that. Also, she just went through a fucking civil war and some other stuff. Like, yeah, this is a job that requires a lot of fist fights. But again, just them being stingy with Odo. And I know they're going to get some special effect Morphe shit going on, but like, they could be doing such cool stuff with him. Whipping people, gooing people.
And they save it because what happens at the end is Odo scoops Kira up. They escape in the shuttlecraft. They are going to the nebula that Odo cannot avoid going to. Kira is a bit taken back by that, but kind of just like, all right,
Why?
let's
Let's
what
talk
we're
about
doing.
that. Because right off
Which
the
feels
bat, he's like, I want a shuttlecraft and I want off of here. And she's like, we have a mission. New Bajor is dead because of these guys. Our space station's in the crosshairs. And the first place these guys are going to come out of the wormhole is my home planet. Like, high motivation on Kieran Reese for this mission to succeed. And basically, your best friend or your good friend you care about a lot wants nothing to do with this mission as being very selfish. So her waking up and finding out that A, her friends are all probably dead. B, they ran away from a fight. And C, not only did they run away from the fight, but they're going the wrong direction. You should have taken us through the wormhole. We should be reporting back to Starfleet and Bajor that the mission was a fail and that we need to be ready for blah, 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 blah. And instead, we're going to your selfish personal plot.
I mean, that's all also understated too in a way that makes sense, to be honest. Like, she doesn't like berate him in that way. She's just taken aback. But turns out Odo was onto something, because they land on a planet with no star, a rogue planet.
Not a single Dick's
sporting goods person there anywhere, no Pokemon. But what there is,
Joe, that thing was a shapeshifter, wasn't it?
It's true, it was.
Shapeshifter Pokemon love rogue planets.
It's true.
It's canon.
We find that out because he finally comes to a lake filled with the goo that he is, and sure enough, we have figures that rise from it, and one in particular who looks female, who, by the way, this is a recurring character, and this character's name is literally Female Changeling. It is never given any other name.
It's that girl from House of Cards. I posted that picture of a while ago.
She says, "Welcome home," and it's to be continued from there. So yes, Odo has found his people. Finally finished this episode. Obviously, this is a banger. You should watch it. Like, we spent 2 episodes talking about it for a reason. But what's next? What are we doing next?
I gotta find the thing here. Let's see. I sent you the picture. Next.
Oh God, yes, you're right.
Yeah, it is her.
It is her.
The Search, Part 2, Podcast 3. First aired October 3rd. This one's going to be Stephen Bear teleplay, story, and Hewitt Wolf. Frakes.
Yeah, yep, that's what I wanted you to say.
Very exciting.
Johnny Boy's in.
Get ready for that top down. On his homeworld, Odo learns about his people. While back on the station, Sisko discovers that the price the Federation is willing to pay for peace with the Dominion may be too high.
So this is one of 3 episodes of Star Trek Deep Space Nine that Frakes directs. And all of them are kind of interesting. And they're all also like part 2s. This stuff is very interesting. So we'll have to take a look at this through the lens of our Frakes fandom as well.
Them giving him part 2s, I want to see, because if you're coming in as a part 2, I think there's assumption you're watching a part 1. You're going to be obligated to follow a styled story, aren't you? Like, is this a lack of faith in Frakes as a director that they have, that they're trying to keep him on the rails?
Or they have faith in Frakes that he can take someone else's material and like link it to his own, you know?
Interesting.
So, all right. We will talk about more of The Search next week. See you then, everybody.